All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Let's try that again. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's hybrid education program at Cancer Support Committee South Bay. I'm Rebecca, the program manager, and I welcome you to this workshop titled Metabolic Health, Creating a Body Where Cancer Struggles. Before we begin, if this is your first time joining us, CSC South Bay's mission is to uplift and strengthen people impacted by cancer by providing support, fostering compassionate communities, and breaking down barriers to care. Our vision is that everyone impacted by cancer receives the support they want and need throughout their experience. We serve the South Bay, Long Beach, and Orange County area all at no cost. Our program includes support groups, networking groups, healthy lifestyle classes, social activities, and educational programs like this workshop. Educational programs are open to all. If you'd like to hear more about our services or join a community, please visit our website at cscsouthbay.org. Before I introduce today's speaker, we ask you to keep your microphone muted for those online to eliminate any distracting background noise. Please feel free to enter any general questions into the chat function found at the bottom of the Zoom window, and we can get them at the end. And for those in person, if you don't mind just jotting it down, and we'll get to the Q&A at the end. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our workshop speaker. Dr. Angie Aboutalib is a board-certified internal medicine and lifestyle medicine physician, a certified Blue Zone physician, and the CEO and founder of WholeMed. She also serves as faculty for medical school and residency program, is a trained yoga and mindfulness instructor, and brings years of experience in healthcare equality to her clinical and teaching work. You can find more about her at wholemedmethod.com. Thank you so much, Angie, for being here with us today. Angie, you're currently on mute.
All right, we're good now? All right, perfect. Okay, so as Rebecca introduced me, I'm Dr. Aboutalib. I also go by Dr. A. All my patients call me that. A little bit about myself, and now this is not working. We are having some technical issues. Let's see. She's back. Okay. All right, so now it's working. Okay, perfect. So I am a dual board certified physician. I do internal medicine, so adult health. I work in the hospital as well as I'm a lifestyle medicine doctor. Does anyone know what a lifestyle medicine doctor is? Oh, you do. Have you seen, huh? Okay. Have you gone to a lifestyle medicine doctor? Okay. All right. And I'm going to teach you guys today the concept of what lifestyle medicine is, because a lot of times people will tell me, oh, does that just mean I go do yoga? And I'm like, no, there's a lot to it. So you guys are going to learn about the concept of epigenetics. That's what I had to do my subspecialty in. I'm also National Director of Quality for multiple hospitals. I'm also the CEO and founder of WholeMed, which is a medical practice for lifestyle medicine. So I see patients that are diabetic, cancer patients, high cholesterol, people that want to lose weight, and kind of get to the root cause of what's happening. Also teaching faculty. I did not teaching faculty at medical school in internal medicine, Blue Zone certified, and yoga and mindfulness. Is that better?
Just so online people can see you.
Okay. All right. So my ask of you guys is I like to make this interactive. So please raise your hand if you have any questions. The intent is that I want you guys to walk away from this really grasping what this concept of is metabolic health. And we're going to start off with a question. So I'm often asked this question, or it's more of a statement that my patients tell me. If cancer runs in my family, there's nothing I could do to change my risk. How many people believe that? Okay.
It's cancer.
Okay. And the people that did not raise their hand, what are your thoughts around that? Anyone?
I think it do.
Okay. Give me like an example. Like what would you?
For me, I had this 13 years ago, and well, I didn't change anything in my life. I thought, I had surgery. They didn't know what that to be. But then 13 years later, now I've got it back on both sides. And they were like, wow, we don't know. But I didn't change anything in my diet. I didn't change my daily glass of wine. I didn't change my sugar intake, any of that. Now I'm like, oh, I should have done that. Maybe it would be, maybe it wouldn't. My guess is I might not be here right now if I had changed, paid attention, and focused on what I was eating. Some of I exercise, but all the other, there's a whole other component of, I did yoga, but I didn't do the gut article. That would have made a big difference.
Love that. Yes, perfect. Yeah. Oh, so I can't walk around? Because I do like to walk around. Sure. So I asked everybody, basically, if they agreed if cancer runs into the family, there's nothing I could do to change the risk. So majority of people did not raise their hand. One person did, which you were not wrong, and we'll talk about that, that yes, depending on the type of cancer, that could be true. But the majority, and you guys are going to see the statistics, it's actually you have control over this, which is huge. So I'm going to ask you guys another question. Do you guys know the top 3 causes of cancer in the United States? This actually got issued by the CDC.
Sugar.
Sugar?
Smoking.
Smoking. Love it. Inflammation. Okay. Anybody else? Processed foods. What else?
Pollution.
Pollution.
That's
Plastics. Plastics is like a hot topic now. Okay, so smoking's number 1. Okay. Number 2 is actually obesity now. And you guys are going to learn today why obesity is on there. Okay, because that wasn't on there before. So obesity is number 2. And number 3, believe it or not, is alcohol now. Okay, and we'll talk about why alcohol is on there. So the 3 most common causes are what? Lifestyle changes, right? So when I was in training, we were taught that a lot of it is hereditary. And you guys are going to see how that conversation has completely transformed now. Okay, so in order to understand metabolic health, we're going to talk about something called epigenetics. Fancy word. Does anyone know what that means?
environment and heredity.
Okay, walk me through that. What do you mean? Like those are 2 components? Okay. Yes.
You could turn on genes and turn off genes.
Love that. You studied before you came in, right?
But basically, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, good. So the comment, oh, again, for those of you online, I asked what epigenetics was, and the answer was we could turn on and turn off genes. So we're going to become a little scientists right now, so I'm going to break this down to you guys because I think it's really important to understand what we're talking about, how you turn on and turn off genes, okay? And I'm going to break it in a very non-medical way, but we're going to start off with our body is made up of 1 trillion cells, okay? How many? Trillion, okay? And when we look at these cells, it has DNA. Okay, so every single one of our cells has what? All right, love it. So now we're going to break this down and make it easier to understand when we're looking at the parts that go wrong in cancer. So let's take a look. So how many cells do I have in my body? Love it. What's inside of the cell?
DNA.
So we're going to call this our instruction manual. Okay, so every single one of our cells have an instruction manual. Okay. So what's in a book? When you open up a book, what chapters? Those chapters are genes. Okay. So are you guys kind of following this like analogy? So when you guys hear genes, genes are really the chapter of the book. Okay. So a book can have a lot of chapters, right? Or can have very little. But in our books, we have a lot of chapters. Okay. So now we've got a book, we got a chapter. Okay. The chapter was the genes, right? So we need a worker that comes in and reads the book and reads the chapters and reads a specific chapter and goes, oh, this is what we're doing. And that worker we call protein. Okay. This is not the protein that you eat. Our body has it. Is everyone following the analogy? Because this is going to help when we break down. So we got a book. What's the book? It is DNA. And the chapters are, love it. And the workers are protein. Okay. So it goes on and it goes, all right, you want me to build a house? You want me to go and do X, Y, and Z? Okay, I read that chapter. We have 1 trillion cells. These books, these chapters, and these workers are doing this to every single cell. Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot of books that we have, right? So I'm going to pause here. Questions about this because you're going to hear me talking about the workers, about the chapters, and the books. Any questions you guys have? Does this analogy click? Yes? No? Okay. All right. So now let's look at what goes wrong with cancer. So first thing is some of those chapters tell our body, hey, put the brakes on this. We don't need to make too many of these. We don't need to make too many of this. We call it the brake chapters, okay? So that becomes mutated, meaning the chapter now is messed up. It's not working well. That's when they say gene mutation, if you guys ever hear that, or gene disruption or genes. So when we look at cancer, we're really looking at that chapter that went wrong, okay? Or you have a chapter that suddenly makes too much. So the gene now is getting too expressed. It's not stopping. So now you've got an issue with the chapter goes wrong, where you're not making the right things, or the chapter goes wrong, where you're making too much of something that might hurt us, okay? So, or the worker is not doing their job, okay? So either the chapter is not doing well, it's a sad worker, the chapter is mutated, it's not doing what it's supposed to do, it's not putting the brakes on things, or the chapter is turning it on and not turning it off, okay? So it's just constantly making something, and suddenly your body sees this and it becomes cancerous, or there's an issue with the worker, okay? All right, so book was what? DNA, the chapter was genes, perfect, and our worker was? Love it. Okay, so now, for the longest time, we were told that you're going to be born with these genes that are messed up, right? We were told that those chapters, that's hereditary. Until about, I would say 20 years ago, okay, they started to look at twins. What's unique about twins? What do you guys think? What about their DNA? Yeah, remind me, the DNA was the book, the chapter, the book. So they have the same books, which they likely have the same chapters, right? So how come one twin will get that cancer and the other doesn't? Mutation of the chapter, but they both have the bad chapter. No, but let's say they have the same exact books. Maybe. Okay. So this is where the study of epigenetics came, where they started looking at these twins going, wait a minute, they have the same books, they have the same chapters, they have the same workers, but how come one got it and one didn't? Or they would go and look and say, how come one got the diabetes and the other one didn't? And that's where medicine started to take a turn. It was the twins. And that's really where the evolution of lifestyle medicine and epigenetics started to come together, because it was no longer we are our DNA, or we are our genes. So then the question became, we need to study twins. We need to find out what is happening that twins are different. They have the same books, they have the same chapters, and they have the same protein. They got the same workers. Everything is the same. So that is essentially the field of epigenetics. So let's take a look down here. We've got our picture that I just showed you. But down here, epigenetics is turning on and turning off the gene. What was your name? Amalita, as she mentioned. So turning on and turning off. So the way we're going to picture this, and I put a picture for us here, is that they are like bookmarks. We're going to read more. Yes. Yeah. Great question. Love that. They looked at all different types of twins, but the identical ones were the ones that intrigued them the most. Yes, that because they have the same books, the same chapters, everything. Everything's the same, even the same workers, right? So great question. When they looked at that, that's where it really changed the perspective of we are stuck with these chapters. Yeah, love that question. Anyone else?
Is there a difference between male and female in the evolution of taking sickness or
No. There's in terms of, are you saying in terms of like different types of cancers? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they are of different.
Yeah, that's also a good question. So depending on certain things, they will carry the same and other things they don't. Yeah.
But still the lifestyle is what influences it.
Yeah. So that's the lifestyle that will turn on, turn off the genes. Yes. So if we take a look at the concept of epigenetics, if you think of it this way, this is the way I explain it to my patients. It's as if I took a Post-it on one chapter and I said, we're going to keep looking at that one. That one's a good one. We're not going to look at this one. And the main thing is what is turning on that chapter, what's turning off that chapter, 100% is what we're doing. Okay. So you've got the bad chapter, which is the gene, but you may live with it and never turn it back on because of what you're doing. Okay. So here's a picture to kind of show you guys. Here's our genes being turned on. What was protein? What did we, in our analogy? Workers. Okay. So it turned on that. And here's some good things that we're going to talk about that support that. And then you can also turn on that bad chapter. So it's not just turning on that good chapter. You could turn on a bad chapter and all of a sudden your protein, which is our worker, may not be working as well. And then the things that we're doing is either turning on or turning off certain chapters. So I'm going to pause here. Thoughts around that. What do you guys think about this?
How do you know?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I love it. Depending on, so for example, oh, the question was, how do you know if something's being turned on or turned off? So like, for example, when I get a patient, I'll do some blood work on them. We're going to talk about some of the tests that you could do, which will give me an idea as to what is possibly turning on those genes. Yeah. Anybody else or thoughts? Okay, so we're going to go back to this. If cancer runs in my family, there's nothing I could do to change my risk. So I promised you guys some statistics. And this actually came out of the CDC in 2025. So this is just recent. What percentage do you guys think is hereditary versus epigenetics lifestyle? What do you guys think the percentage is? 40 plus for which one? Genetics? Okay. Yeah. 50-50. Okay. Anybody else? All right. 5 to 10. You were close. 5 to 10. 5 to 10 is hereditary. Meaning no matter what you do, that chapter is not going to be, it's going to happen. Only 5 to 10, which leaves us with 90 to 95% is purely epigenetics. Remind me, what was epigenetics again? And the genes were in the book, what was the chapters? Good. All right. So can you imagine So the vast majority of non-hereditary cases are purely epigenetics. And I wish this was like on a billboard, right? Because I think if people knew that, I think it would change the perspective, right? So I get a lot of patients that come in, and this is very common. They'll say, my mom had breast cancer. I'm probably going to end up with breast cancer. This is very common. Or a male will tell me, I have prostate cancer. I'll likely come in with prostate cancer. I'm like, no, let's look at everything because it's only 5 to 10% are hereditary. And depending on the breast cancer, some will happen, but not everything, right? So this, for me, when the CDC came out with this made me feel like we had a lot more control, right? Versus, I think even during training, and Dr. Dazan will tell us, like during med school, I think they were really, that's Dr. Dazan, she's part of Whole Med, put her on the spot. But, you know, during med school, we were probably taught this was a higher ratio, right? Completely higher ratio. To know that it's 5 to 10% changes the story, which makes me very excited because it just shows that you could change the chapter. So remind me, what were the top causes of cancer in the United States? Smoking was number 1. What was number 2? Obesity and alcohol. Okay. So let's talk about tobacco. So this is about 20% of all the cancers in the world, okay? And we all know lung tends to be about 85%, but some of the other ones are mouth, esophagus, pancreas, bladder, and kidney, okay? Now, I put a little blurb on the bottom for you guys. This is the epigenetic connection that we have found now, that the chemicals in the tobacco, okay, when you're smoking, the chemicals themselves are turning on chapters, they're turning on genes that normally those genes protect us from cancer. So they're turning them on. Those chapters, that bookmark is saying, hey, just keep this on. Versus your body doesn't want to keep that chapter. Okay, so the tobacco itself, that chemical, is going to that specific chapter and turning it on and not turning it off. So fancy word is what we call tumor suppressor genes. Our body has certain chapters that suppress the tumor. It just does it as a protective mechanism. And then now alcohol goes, nope, we're going to continue. We're going to inhibit this. So there's nothing that will protect us from those chemicals. Okay. So 20% of all of the world's cancers are coming from tobacco. Now, the interesting thing is the obesity. What do you guys think of that? Sorry, I'm like totally in your way. What do you guys think of that? Yes.
Right now you're saying that, well, what I'm taking is like, it's not my fault, but not to have cancer. But I'm going with the obesity, that's part of my culture, some foods that have provoked the healthy way of eating. Because now the trend is if I go buy a vegetable, it's more expensive than buying.
Yeah, I know.
So it's almost like, yes, it's been my fault maybe.
I don't like to say fault. I like to say that this tells us that we could, and we'll talk more about this in a sense of when cancer patients go into remission, how you can stay in remission. So this is the key thing, right? Because we're exposed to so much. Even someone said plastics, right? Someone here said plastics. We can't control that. That's in a lot of things, right? But the idea is, and especially if I get a cancer patient, I'm like, okay, let's look at what is the number one thing that we can convert that might be causing this to keep turn on. So the first thing I tell anybody who is smoking, please stop smoking. Yeah. Like that's my number one thing. You need to stop smoking because what is that doing? That smoke, that chemical, what is it doing to that chapter? It keeps it going on. The more you're smoking, that chemotherapy and everything you're doing is not going to work, right? So that's the way to look at it. So don't say fault. I think the way to look at it is how do I keep myself, my body metabolically, and we'll talk more about that, in a place that I receive the chemo or I receive the treatment and I do better because now I'm turning off that chapter, right? Yes.
Does it have to do with inflammation?
Yes, good. Yes, absolutely. Who else? Oh yeah. So do I go back to the camera? Okay. Yeah, so the question, it was a great question that is it my fault that I may have acquired the cancer? And my answer was basically I would not look at it as my fault because there's a lot of environmental. I would look at it as how do I stay in remission by stopping that thing from turning on that chapter. That's how you need to look at it as. Yes.
But I have to roll back what you said is nothing we can do. I'm totally opposed to that sentence. I hear it day in and day out.
Nothing you could do?
Yeah.
No, I didn't say
You
that.
said environment.
No, I'm saying there are certain things, there's certain cancers now that are linked to things that are, so for example, the UV, you get skin cancer, right? So yeah, you could
But
put
you said plastics and all that.
plastics.
Sorry, we had a time when we had forks, knives, and spoons,
Mhm.
and they're still in the drawer in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Anytime you go to a fast food, you accept to take the package because it's handy.
Yeah.
It's offered to you.
That is a very,
to a guy.
Rebecca, we have a lot of plastics here. I think you're gonna have to bust out with the silverware. Yeah.
That's what I want to address. We are in control of what we refuse to
Yeah.
put on from the environment to protect ourselves to be more in
this.
the chapter.
And that's a great point that you bring up. So I guess my thing was there are going to be times that you can't, and there are things that you can. Like there's pollutants in the air. There's going to be hard for you to be able, the pollution that's in the air, what it could potentially cause. Now, to your point, the more I minimize, the more I am able to, and you bring up a good point, not turn this on, right? So yeah, exactly. So anything else about the obesity? You brought up inflammation. Anybody else? What else do you guys think? Why obesity? What else is obesity doing? Okay, good. So sedentary life. Good. Someone else said?
Extra energy that other cells.
Okay, you're on the right track. We're going to talk. Huh? Yes, we said inflammation, sedentary life, and the fat is consuming some of the energy. Okay.
Suppresses the regular function of the organs because they are overwhelmed with extra excess weight to handle.
Good. And I'm going to give you guys the key hormone that is going through that. So it is linked to 13 types of cancers. And I'm going to go through more in detail when we talk about metabolic health in detail as to what exactly is happening with the obesity that's causing this. But in short, it is definitely causing chronic inflammation. And then it also causes, it has to do with insulin. So we'll talk about what insulin is doing that is causing these cancer cells to grow. And this is, again, new, right? Like when I went to med school, nobody really knew that obesity could lead to this. The third thing is alcohol. Okay, alcohol is causing mouth, throat, esophagus, breast cancer. Okay. Do you guys know what the percentage? They actually did a study to look at the percentage if a female drinks a glass of alcohol a day, how likely, what's the percentage of them likely to develop breast cancer? Anyone throw a number out for me? Oh, no, not 50. It's 15%. So 15 to 20%. So if a female drinks every day, that puts her at a 15 to 20% chance of maybe developing breast cancer. So what do you guys think I tell my breast cancer patients that come to me that are in remission? Do not drink, right? Like, don't turn on that gene. And we're going to talk about what is it in alcohol that's causing this more. Okay, so let's talk now in details on metabolic health. What do you guys think of when you think of metabolic health? What'd you say? Okay, that's part of the story. Anything else?
Everything functional. Blood sugar,
Inflammation, yes.
And mouth hygiene, it's proven that many inflammation are caused because the gum or the dental part is so neglected that
Mhm.
those bacteria grow and find another host inside the organs.
Yep. And we're going to talk about microbiome too. If you guys have heard about the gut, yes. Burning calories, okay. Sure. Okay. Okay. Some of the comments were you said the metabolic health, the insulin, the inflammation, the kidneys, how that functions, the mouth bacteria. Okay, is that good? Okay. So when I look at metabolic health, to me, it means that the environment inside your body where your cells thrive. To me, that is how many cells do we have? Trillion, right? And then every cell has a book. What is that called? DNA and the chapters. Good, love it. And who are the workers? Protein, love it. So let's break it down. I'm going to give you guys an overview of what metabolic health looks like, and the next slides are going to be what happens when it goes wrong, and we'll talk more in that. So first thing, someone mentioned blood sugar and insulin. That's huge. Blood sugar and insulin will determine metabolic health. So question to me early on was what tests? And that is definitely one of the tests, is to look at the sugar, right? So someone who comes to me, I will put them on a continuous glucose monitor. I want to monitor what happens to them when they eat, because to me that's important, right? That's going to tell the story. Is insulin too high? Anybody here, what does the function of insulin? What does it do?
Regulate the sugar.
Regulate sugar, right? So when I eat, my body doesn't know how to regulate it. The pancreas will secrete insulin and go, okay, we got this. We're going to take some of this. We're going to put this in the cell. We're going to take this. We're going to use this. So that insulin is kind of like maestro, right? It is the one who's controlling what happens to the blood sugar, okay? And it helps it go into the cells, which how many do we have? Trillions. Love it. Second thing is chronic inflammation. So yes, we could test that. There's a marker called the CRP. You could test that to see how much inflammation do you have in your body, okay? Second thing, or third thing, visceral fat. What do you guys think the visceral fat is? Kind of. So someone answered around your belly. Anybody else? The bad what? The bad fat. Okay, it is bad fat. Where it's around your organs. So visceral fat is the one that you don't see. So that fat that you see here, that's subcutaneous. Sub meaning under the skin. But that fat that's hidden, have you guys ever heard of the term skinny fat? It means someone who's skinny that you look at and you're like, okay, they're good. But then you go and test their visceral fat and their visceral fat's really bad. So visceral fat is all around your heart, your liver. It is that fat that's surrounding all of the organs. That's the dangerous type of fat. So going back to how do you test that? You could test that with something called the DexaFit. You go there and you test what is your visceral fat. And that will tell you if you're walking around thinking, oh, I'm good, I lost some weight, but you may be storing that. And we're going to see what that does, because that is also something that will turn on that gene. We can test for it. Yeah. Yes.
Scales that you drop and you stand still.
Yes.
It tells me what my visceral fat is. Are those accurate?
I love that question. Do you want to take that on? He's our director of biometrics, Brian. But I can answer that if I put you on the spot.
Impedance through your body, and that's how they determine how much body you have. So it's not the most accurate measurement, but it's doable.
Repeat the question. Okay. Okay. So the question was, I have a scale, and is the scale accurate? And the answer is, first of all, those scales are not going to be the most accurate. So let's kind of walk through what would be accurate. The scales that you get from home are dependent, as Brian mentioned, it's dependent on how hydrated you are. If you're not very hydrated, the scale doesn't know how to read it well, okay? Then the second one would be something that if you were to go to a gym, it's called an in-body. That is probably way more accurate than the scale that you would get at home. Then the third, which is 99% accurate, would be a DexaFit. And you could get those at like Body Spec, there's a bunch of them around. They're actually not that expensive. They're about $50 if you go there, and they'll do it, and that is the most accurate. Okay, so the scales will give you probably what it's guessing, but the body getting that DEXA fit, not a regular DEXA, has to be a DEXA fit, that will tell you what your visceral is. Visceral, yeah. Okay. Other thing is muscle. What do you guys think the reason why muscle is important?
More calories than fat.
Okay.
You know, and burn
Okay. You're almost there. Okay, so the answer was it burns more fat than calories. So when you have more muscle, your body doesn't need as much insulin to help with that sugar because your body, that muscle will be like a power machine. Okay, so that's really important, right? Because what was the number one thing that's important for us? Is the sugar regulation. Okay, so sometimes if a patient comes and says, hey, I want to lose some fat, a lot of times Brian and I will say, well, you need to gain some muscle first because that's going to help with your metabolism. And it's actually ultimately going to help with number one, which is what your problem is. So we got to get that in reverse. Yes.
What's happening when your insulin is crashed instead of having the problem that you're having too much insulin after chemo,
Mhm.
now type 2 diabetes,
Mhm.
and I'm constantly crashed.
So my question would be medications and A1C. The A1C, are you checking your A1C?
Daily.
No, the A1C would be your measurement every 3 months.
6, 7.
So 6, 7. Okay. So I don't know what medications you're on, but it could be that the medications you're on are causing that crash. Are you on medications right now? You're just on this? Okay. So you and I, after this, let's chat more because then I'd like to know more about how you're crashing because it could be the food that you're eating or the fact that your insulin is so dysregulated that that's probably what's happening. Yeah, but that's a good question. Happy to discuss more after. And then the last thing here, once I get there, is healthy cellular signaling. So that is your immunity, your immune system. And we'll talk more about how that's happening. So let's talk about what metabolic dysfunction means. So it is, we go back to the cell. I caused that cell, which I have how many? Trillions, some stress. Okay, that's what I did. So let's break it down. First one is high insulin and insulin resistance. Why is that? So insulin helps with the sugar, but insulin also has a very powerful growth signal, okay? Meaning that it actually works with something called insulin growth factor. And when you have too much, so if your insulin is not regulated, you're producing this growth factor, and growth factor, if it's too much, will cause cancer. It's been linked to that, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is then what happens is that and this is really what's happening, when your insulin is too high, so whether you're eating too much sugar, you've got insulin resistance, this is constantly being elevated, your body is in the stress mode and it's constantly creating pathways for this growth and it can't delineate between good or bad that I'm doing for this body. So that's why when you sleep, you're giving your insulin time to reset. But if you're constantly in a high level, you never get that pause. So your body is just constantly creating this growth factor and it doesn't know the difference between, is this a good thing that I'm doing or is this a bad thing? Questions about that? Yes.
that it causes cancer. There a particular kind of cancer?
Yeah, great question. So it's not that okay, so this is when you've got prolonged, the question is there a particular, so your point, is there an answer? They don't know specific answers. They have looked at them by measuring the insulin growth factor, but it's really hard to tell which ones because those studies are not very clear. So I don't want to give you like a whole list of them. they know enough that it is one of those things that could be causing it. Does that help answer your question? Okay. Yeah. Because I don't know, I don't think that the studies are enough to say that that's exactly what it is, but I know that when they looked at specific ones and looked at the insulin growth factor, they're able to say this is likely what's happening. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. Chronic inflammation. So we talked about that, right? So chronic inflammation, the things that means that you are now stressing this cell so much that you're now causing this inflammation nonstop. Smoking. What was smoking on the 3? Number what? Number 1. The other thing is unmanaged stress because of cortisol. The third is regular alcohol, and we'll talk about that more. And then poor sleep. Does anyone know why poor sleep is something that could cause chronic inflammation? Okay. So she said, we don't have the time. See, Rebecca, I'm repeating everything. We don't have the time to reset and rejuvenate. She's right. So at night when we sleep, our immune system, this is where our DNA, what was our DNA again? It was the book. That's when it starts to reset and starts to really kind of take a pause and say, okay, we've been working hard. Let's all work. Let's all rest. Workers, you rest. Everyone gets to kind of press pause, right? The other thing that they've linked is that people that sleep less than hours a day, okay, are linked to our infections too, okay? There was a study that showed that if you sleep 5 hours, you're likely to eat 500 calories more than someone who got a good night's sleep. Okay. So, and then what does that tell you? You could end up with insulin issues, right? Because now you're eating more. So sleep is really important. The next one is the visceral fat. So how is visceral fat doing this? How does it promote it? Because visceral fat itself causes a chemical called the cytokines. So it actually goes, visceral fat will start releasing these inflammatory chemicals, okay, called cytokines or cells. Okay, so that's second thing is visceral fat will cause your insulin to go up. Okay, so you'll become insulin resistant, okay, meaning your insulin's up and it's just not working as well. And then last thing is that they've actually linked visceral fat by causing influence to the hormones. So they're finding that especially with females that have specific type of cancers, that visceral fat can start to release estrogen production even after menopause. So this is huge. So your visceral fat could lead to a lot of issues. Pausing here, questions about any of what I've talked about so far? Yes. Yeah.
Intermittent fasting, eating earlier and having more time for your body to rest.
I love that because Dr. Dizon was like, are you going to talk to them about fasting? And I was like going back and forth and I was like, do I talk to them about fasting? So the question was, so Rebecca does not get upset with me, is what about intermittent fasting? So let's talk about this because I wanted to talk to you guys about it, but I went back and forth with it. So at USC, there is a physician named Dr. Long, okay? And we're talking about 20, 30 years ago. He understood this really well and said that he wanted to take cancer patients and have them do something called fasting mimicking diet. Does anyone know what a fasting mimicking diet is? Fasting mimicking diet is he gives you food that your body does not recognize, okay? And so you're eating, but your body thinks you're fasting, okay? So that's why it's mimicking, fasting mimicking diet. So he ends up doing all this research and says, okay, I'm going to only target patients that are in remission and see if we're able to reverse some of these things in order for them to not end up getting the cancer back. So he did this for years, and he is like the director of the longevity institution at USC. And then afterwards came along another physician who's an endocrinologist, who's a hormone doctor, that said, you know what, I've been reading all your studies. You've been working on cancer patients. What if we did this on diabetics? Okay, like we could help them, we could prevent them from getting to any of these issues. So they started doing it to diabetics, and they would do 5 days of fasting for 3 months total. So 5 days, then you eat for 3 weeks, and then another 5 days, you trick your body, eat for 3 days, 3 weeks, and then this. And then what they did is as they rechecked all the markers, they're like, okay, visceral fat went down. That's good. Cholesterol went down. People's diabetes got better. And then they said, well, we've been limiting this for just cancer patients, and they kind of put in high cholesterol too, and diabetics. What if we just open this up to the general population? So when all this was happening, I met the doctors that were doing all these studies, and I was fascinated by it. And so this is one of the things that I aim for. And I partnered with them, and we've been able to really reverse a lot of visceral fat. If you guys are interested, the company's name is Prolon, and it's Prolon. But I would say make sure you talk to your doctor before this, because you want to make sure that if you're going to do the intermittent fasting, you want to do it at the right time, that it's not during chemo. Okay, yes.
Curious, what kind of foods that you might not recognize?
Yeah, it's really a good question. So they meticulously made sure that everything was really high in fats. So your body didn't recognize it, because when you eat something high in fats, but it's healthy fats. So for example, olives, yeah, you would eat something that's really, do you have a bar with you to show? And it has like macadamias, and actually Dr. Design just did it. I promoted it. She's doing it now.
This is one of the things that you get to eat in your bok. And in addition to like olives with olive oil, things like that. And then they make some soup packet. But this one has, you can't do it if you're nut allergic, unfortunately, because that's kind of the basis of the healthy fats. Almonds, pecans, macadamia nut, honey, flaxseed, chocolate. Oh, this one has chocolate, coconut, rosemary extract. They're delightful.
Yeah, actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be nut allergic.
Yes.
What's in many of that?
Yes. It's very minimum. So when I have people do it with the CGM, your body does not spike at all the insulin, because it doesn't realize, it thinks that you're fasting the whole time. Yeah. So to your point,
Digestive system, while it digests the bar, gives the signals to the other elements that actually food is going through.
yeah, but it's not going to interrupt your insulin at all. So your insulin does not get secreted at all. So your body is so used to every time you eat, your insulin gets turned on. In this case, it doesn't get turned on. It's a whole like pathology. Like I'm happy to come back and talk more about that to give you guys because it's a whole pathway of how it does it. But in short, yes, in short, it is for timing. In short, it's just your body doesn't recognize it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So the second thing was we talked about the insulin being a big growth factor, right? So frequent insulin spikes will lead to that. Low muscle mass. So remember I talked about low muscle mass being a problem, and poor sleep. And then the last thing, which is really interesting, is called oxidative stress. Okay. Oxidative stress is actual stress that goes to the cell. It's causing an actual stress. So tobacco, we talked about that. Alcohol. So alcohol, when you drink, there is a byproduct called acetaldehyde. That acetaldehyde is what is causing the cell to be stressed. I also mentioned UV radiation. This is where I'm talking about the environmental pollutants and toxins, which is very hard because it's like everywhere, but that is one thing. Ultra processed diet. So that's something you could definitely control. Every time you eat something that is very processed, it causes stress to the cell. And then stress, and then what's the last one? Or sleep. Okay. Now, so in my training, lifestyle medicine, we focused on 6 things, right? So we talked about epigenetics. We talked about how we turn on and turn on those genes. And so the main thing with this is to look at every element of how do you break this down. So we're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about physical activity, what has been proven is cancer, managing tobacco use, which is really risky substances that we look at. Sleep medicine is a huge thing that we look at. And then social connections, because there has been a lot of studies around that. So let's talk about nutrition. So this is really interesting. These are the studies that they have done looking at what would work well for any patient that has cancer, or how could we prevent it. So they looked at, and you guys don't need to know the studies, but I want to show you guys. They looked at Mediterranean diet, which is rich in vegetables, grains, legumes, healthy fats. Could still eat red meat, but not as often. I usually tell people once or twice a month. And then they looked at the very low fat diet, not low fat, healthy fats. It's more saturated, which are bad fats. So they looked at that. And then they also, here's another study that looked at Mediterranean. And then the last one, which is the whole food plant-based, they said, okay, what if you just did a whole food plant-based diet, and how do you do? So if you look here for the Mediterranean, it automatically made the insulin levels go down, which we know helps with metabolic health, right? The body weight went down, which they automatically saw the visceral. Which one was the bad fat? The visceral or the subcutaneous? Visceral. So they saw this really went down. And they actually found that helped associated with the lower breast cancer recurrence risk. So if we were able to reduce the insulin levels in someone's visceral fat, that helped with reducing the cancer risk, breast cancer recurrence. The second one was the low fat. And they found that this really helped with, especially in females with hormone receptor negative breast cancer. They found that that really helped with survival, okay? And then the Mediterranean here, this one looked at all-cause mortality, meaning if I were to take patients, they looked at breast cancer especially, and they wanted to know all cause. So meaning what was the cause of death? Could be a heart attack, could be a stroke. That's what we call all-cause mortality. They found that they'd reduced down to about 25% when they adhered to a Mediterranean diet, okay? And the last one was actually really fascinating. They took the patients and said, for 8 weeks, we want you guys to do a whole food plant-based diet, okay? And let's just see what happens after 8 weeks, okay? So after 8 weeks, they found a 6.6 average weight loss. That's nice. Their insulin went down, their cholesterol went down by 35 points. And then they went in and they measured, remember we were talking about markers? They went and measured all the inflammatory markers and all of them went down. So that was the first study that they did. And then what was interesting is that they said, okay, well, how much protein and how much muscle, because remember, muscle is really important, do we need to tell our cancer patients to do? And they found that they do better with 1.2 to 1.5 grams. So how would you calculate where you're at? You take your body weight, you divide it by 2.2 to get to kilograms, and then you multiply it by 1.2 to 1.5. So if you're not someone who eats a lot of protein to begin with, I would say start with 1.2. If you're someone who loves protein, then get up to 1.5. Okay, so this was where, and so here's an example. Someone weighs 150 pounds. They divide it by 2.2. That gives me 68 kilograms. And then you multiply by 1.2. That means that you need to be eating 82 to 102 grams of protein. Okay. And again, this helps with the muscle health. Okay. Now, we talked about microbiome. You mentioned the mouth and the bacteria. Does anyone know what gut microbiome is? Raise your hand if you've ever heard of that. Okay. So again, something that Dr. Dizon and I probably, and Dr. Dizon's actually an infectious disease doctor, when we went to med school, there wasn't a lot of talk about this yet because we really did not know much about it then. And now there's a lot of talk about it because our gut carries a lot of bacteria. And I know people hear bacteria and they say, oh, I don't want that. And I'm like, no, there's good bacteria that is operating for us, helping us survive, right? And that good bacteria is an immune system to us, okay? So that good bacteria, if you have good bacteria, it is going to make sure you don't have inflammation. If you have a good bacteria, the fiber actually is going to protect you. Okay. If you have good bacteria, there's actually a link where colorectal cancer, they're connecting it now to to a bad bacteria that overgrows. And if you don't have a good bacteria to fight that bad bacteria, then they're saying that you're likely to develop colon cancer because of this. So they're finding a lot of that. The other thing I don't think people recognize, our happy hormone, serotonin. Where do you guys think that's produced? Okay, love that someone said that, in the gut. How much percentage do you think is produced in the gut? Yeah, 90%. No one ever gets that right. 90%. So, you know, when you say, oh, my gut feeling, or I'm feeling good, like that 90% of your happy hormone is coming out of the gut. It's produced out of this. So this is why sometimes, like, if you don't eat good, do you ever feel kind of lousy the next day? That's what it's doing. It's really, really important. So they have now found, and there's a lot of still studies, it's very premature. There's a lot of studies now that they're linking, well, if you have a good bacteria in your gut, it's going to lower the inflammation. It's going to support your gut a lot better. It could potentially start to respond to chemo better, for example. So that is really, really important. Okay, switching gears, physical activity. So this is really important here. Big thing with physical therapy or physical activity is movement changes insulin, inflammation, immune signaling, and treatment. So if we take a look here, in 2022, this was the American Society of Clinical Oncology. They published that if you do physical activity, they now have recognized it improves your heart and your lungs, number one. Number two, your strength, and they're actually finding that this will help with reducing fatigue and so forth. So this came out in 2022. However, there has been now more studies. They have said, well, we think that there could be an association with decreasing the all-cause mortality. Does anyone remember what the all-cause mortality meant? Everything, breast cancer. Okay, so they're linking that too. So they're doing a lot more research on microbiome and a lot more research on this. So what is exercise? So I always say start with 10 minutes after you eat. Why? Because there's some studies that show that when you walk around after 10 minutes after you eat, your body does not require that much insulin to bring in that sugar. Okay, so physical activity will help your body go, oh, we're moving. Okay, my muscle is being activated. So then that means that I don't need that much insulin. My body doesn't need to create that much. Now I can possibly bring in that sugar. So what does that help with? Helps with reducing our insulin level, right? So even if you did this after 10 minutes after you eat, you walk around and you make that a habit, that right there will help, okay? But if you really want to know what lifestyle medicine recommends, it's 150 minutes a week, okay, of anaerobic activity, aerobic activity. So what does that mean? That means it could be walking, okay? It does not mean that you have to be running. You could be just jogging. I always tell people if you could walk up on a treadmill, even just like an incline treadmill, and you walk like 12 incline, and then even if you're at a speed of 1.5 to 2, that's enough to get some of this benefit, okay? And strength training. Why is strength training important? Muscle. So first thing is muscle, muscle, muscle. Because what is muscle going to do? What is that going to do for me? 100%. Huh? Yes. So it's going to help me, right? Indirectly. So yeah.
Swimming is no longer a subject, but
What was the question?
The swimming is the most complex exercise the whole body takes at once because you float in element. So every part of you has to be actively working. So why don't they put it in their exercise regulation as being a part of must do? And why is walking taking over?
It's not that. It's just, do you want to? Oh, the question is, yeah. Okay, so the question was, why is swimming not a recommendation? Actually, swimming it's not that it's not a recommendation. Do you want to take that on, Brian, about the zone 2? Again, I'm putting him on the spot. Come close to me and speak into the mic.
I'm not familiar with it not being recognized as a form of exercise. Really?
It's no longer an advisor.
Yes. Very based on heart rate. So
Yeah.
if you get your heart rate into the recommended range and you're utilizing large muscle groups, it doesn't matter what the modality is.
So it's not listed because they're saying it doesn't help with building muscle. Okay. But if you are trying to strengthen your heart and you do a certain type of exercise, you need your heart rate to be in something called a zone 2. Then you could do it with swimming, but you have to make sure you're in that zone to hit the 150. So it's not good for strength training. It doesn't. And that's why they're taking it out. But Brian, when he works with people, if somebody says, hey, we actually had a patient that only did swimming. So he put him on that, also had him do strength training, and was able to really kind of move the needle on some of the testing that we were doing. So I think it doesn't help when it comes to strength training. It doesn't do anything with muscle. Does that help answer your question?
I see it different, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. For me, I don't think it's fair when a patient comes to me to employ what I do. You need to find out what they're doing and making it better, right? And that's my biggest thing is what I do does not mean it's going to work for the patient. So that's why it's important. If someone says swim, then let's optimize that swimming. That's how I look at it. How do we optimize it where your heart's actually responding really good to it? Okay. Now let's look at avoiding risky substance. Do you guys remember what was the percentage of cancers around the world that are caused by 20%? Yeah. So and so the biggest thing here in 2024, this was published in a journal of oncology. They did definitely see when patients stopped smoking, their survival rate went up. We talked about alcohol. So alcohol, that byproduct I mentioned was called acetaldehyde. They're linking it to oxidative stress. What was oxidative stress? Cell stress, right? Cell stress, it altered the hormones, microbiome. It goes to the microbiome and it alters your microbiome. So that was one of the biggest things. And the causes that we find here is mouth, pharynx, the esophagus, the liver, breast cancer, and colorectal. Do you guys remember the percentage of a female putting herself at risk if she drinks every day? About 15%. Yep. Good. Now, sleep, I talked about. So let's talk about why sleep is very important with insulin. When you go to sleep, okay, this is where your insulin gets regulated. It gets actually regulated with another hormone called leptin. So they both kind of regulate each other, okay? And so if you're not sleeping enough, and it takes probably 6 to 7 hours, if not more, for it to completely be regulated. So this is why if you're not sleeping enough, they're finding that it does not help with your immune system. B, if your insulin's not regulated, what does that put you at risk for? Yep. Yes. So that's the first question. So I had someone who came to me who had an insulin level really high because he was a night shift. He did night shift and he only slept about 3 to 4 hours a day. So his insulin was super high. Okay. And if you look, his markers were high, his inflammation was high. So that's really important. If only people knew how much it's putting you at risk. Okay, so the recommended, I would say 7 to 8. Some people tell me 9 is a lot. And then some people will say 60 to 67 degrees in your room. I think 60 is really cold, but I like to do 65 to 67. That's kind of my sweet spot. And it really has to do with if you keep your room cool, your body at night goes through the way that it actually shifts in the temperature of your body. That helps with expediting for you to stay in sleep. So a lot of people will try to sleep in a really warm room or put a really heavy blanket over them and then say, I keep waking up at night. And it's because at night, this is where your body is regulating your temperature. And so when you have heat, it's not able to regulate it the right way. And your body does better when it's about 65 to 67. So it's able to regulate and you're not feeling a huge difference. Okay, social connections. This was actually really interesting. In 2025, they did a whole study to look at social connections, isolation, and how cancer patients did. And so they actually found that there was a huge decrease in all-cause mortality when you had a social. So community like this, how much that helps versus you're doing this on your own. And so they found that those individuals that were kind of fighting the cancer by themselves really had a higher chance of all-cause mortality. So it's huge. And there's a whole field called positive psychology, where they're now just really focusing on people that are happy and what is happening in their sphere that's causing them to stay happy. And more, they're recognizing that this social connection, even for people without cancer, is really playing a role in all-cause mortality. And then stress management. Who here attended my mindfulness? You did, right? Anyone else? No one else? I did a mindfulness workshop. Yeah, and it was about the science of mindfulness. And so they're now doing a lot of studies around that, what it's doing to the brain, and they are linking. To be honest with you, there's actually studies with people that have autoimmune diseases. So when your body starts to attack itself, they're starting to recognize that mindfulness is related. They're able to go down because it all is this brain and gut connection. And so that's helping a lot. And this is another thing that there's a lot of evidence around that too. Okay, so main thing I want you guys to think about is, and this is actually one of my favorite things to say, is we cannot control that you were born with these mutations, these genes, but you can influence if it gets turned on and turned off. So epigenetics is huge. Okay, do you guys remember the percentage of hereditary cancers? 5 to 10. Okay, and the rest for what? I mean, this is coming from CDC. I mean, this is recent. They gave us this publication, right? So I think the main thing I always say is if someone comes to me, I say lifestyle medicine, I'm not telling you not to go through treatment, but it actually together, they pair really, really well because you're able to stay in remission, respond better to chemo. And so the marriage between the two are really good. And one of my biggest dreams is that oncologists start to do this, right? You're not going to just go through chemo or the surgery. We're going to also put this in there because now the studies are showing, as you guys could see, even with nutrition, they're reducing the mortality with that. Okay, and that's it. I got through it. That's the QR code to my website if you guys want to join the newsletter. Every month I put in some tips for you guys, but yes.
Thank you so much. Such a wonderful presentation, and for those joining in person and online. So for those online, feel free to put your questions into the chat, or you can unmute yourself and we can call on you. And if we're in person, just raise your hand and we'll just go one by one. So are there any, so the first question was, can you talk, the mic just kind of cut out about about the on bar and so just recap our everything reads again, but if you can just recap our conversation again.
Okay, so recap the conversation. Prolon is a fasting mimicking diet where it is tricking your body to think that you're fasting, but you're not. Okay, so they also, with the calories, they reduce the calories. So first day, I think is like, the first day is about 1,000 and it goes down to about 800 calories. So the intent is that you're not eating a lot and what you're eating is not enough to actually signal anything. So your body thinks it's fasting. Why is this important? In 5 days, what happens to your body when you fast? The first 48 hours is mostly your body will start going into a fat burning. By day 3, it goes into fat burning. Day 4 and 5, what is fascinating, this is where the Dr. Long in USC found, is day 4 and 5, your body actually will start killing off bad cells. And that's why he focused on that with cancer patients, because he found that it's what we call autophagy. It's going to start killing that off, and then your body's going to renew the whole process again. So it's almost like you did a reset for that book, that chapter, and that worker.
Wonderful. My cancer was caused by HPV. Did this destroy my chapters?
Do you want to answer because you're an infectious disease doctor?
If you want to come up
Or
here.
I could answer.
Oh.
You want me to do? Okay. So I love that question because years ago, I think it was like in the 90s, right? They found that infections were causing a lot of these cancers. Hepatitis can cause cancer, along with HPV can cause cancer. So that's
Virus that cause both genital wart as well as
it is a cancer that causes warts and can cause cancers for females mostly, but men can get it too. But females, it could definitely cause cancer. And so that's the whole push behind the vaccines during that time. And that's why they started with those vaccines to help. So can HPV do this? Yes. We know that HPV could come in. We know that certain infections could definitely cause certain cancers. And usually if it's untreated. Yes.
So the question was, did it destroy my chapters?
No, it's not. It probably went and turned on those genes and caused the chapters to stay on. And so by doing a lot of this lifestyle modification, you can switch those chapters to stop turning on.
Okay. Next question. Is it safe to have one drink per week?
Yes, it's definitely safe. The studies were done on people drinking every single day. Yeah.
And then 2, what about ketogenic dieting? There are many YouTube videos showing great results from it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent question. That ketogenic diet kind of falls into that fasting mimicking diet. Same thing because it lowers your insulin and it puts you into that fat burning. And so what happens to your insulin? Your insulin will start to go down. And so it helps with regulating all this. So yes, there's a lot. Again, for me, I don't like one shoe fits all. So I don't push it. I think it's a more of a conversation to know, is the whole food diet better? Is the Mediterranean diet? Is the Prolong better? Because I think depending on all of the biomarkers, that's going to tell the story of what your body needs.
All right. Is it beneficial to take turmeric extract and
Yeah,
quercetin
so
extract to reduce chronic inflammation?
yeah, another good question. So turmeric is really good because it helps with reducing inflammation in the body. I like to put it on probably most of my food, just a little bit, but it's not going to. It's good to have, but it's not going to be like if you have overwhelming chronic inflammation from other things, it may just help a little bit. But just to have it in your diet, I mean, even ones that help reduce oxidative stress would be berries. Those really help. And there's like a lot of other things that you could also add on. So as you're accumulating things, those are really important. One thing to think of with turmeric is that if you're going to get turmeric, you want to make sure it's with black pepper because it actually helps activate it. So I see a lot of people just putting turmeric. Also, cinnamon is another one too. Yes.
For those online, feel free to keep putting those questions into the chat and we'll move on to in person. If you want to raise your hand one at a time. Eunice.
With the information, I've heard lymphatic massage, and there's this new thing where they use a section, and Cleveland Clinic suggested that it could be useful. Can you comment on that?
You can summarize.
Yeah, it was about the lymphatic massage. I have mixed feelings, I'll be honest with you, because I really have not seen enough data to know what is it doing in general. So just to kind of give you guys an idea, the lymphatic massage, we have this draining system, and the idea is that if you have your drain, like your pipes are not drained well, then that can cause some inflammation. So I think in general, it works for your body to do but I don't know how much of it is going to help with all-cause mortality. Does that make sense? So it could help in a sense that it's reducing that inflammation, but talk to me about all-cause mortality. Does that actually reduce mortality? Does it really help somebody with, would it be the only thing? No, I would say add it onto this and it would be something that's additive. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
What are your thoughts about probiotics, prebiotics, all of those?
Yeah, another good question. So the question was, what are my thoughts around prebiotics, probiotics? So that goes back to the gut, right? So I will tell you, I've had people do the pre and probiotics. So think of it as one is the bacteria that you're taking, and then the pre is the is going to be the food to keep the bacteria going. Okay, so you want to take them together. You don't want to just do one. So if you take the pre and the pro together, you're taking them, you could take them for about 3 months. Usually and you start eating healthy, that will help with the gut. Now, that goes back to it's still being studied how much of this is going to influence. But yes, I think all Americans need to be on it because a lot of the processed foods have really destroyed the gut. And we are now noticing more and more, even our happy hormone is coming out of there, right? So I took it for, I would say 3 months, and then that was it. And then I always recommend, yeah. You could take it forever if you want to. Yeah, but some people are like, I don't want to keep taking it. So I'm like, 3 months usually helps. Yes.
Recommend the mimicking?
No, I would only recommend it in between chemo, and I would talk to the oncologist to see. Yeah. The question was after during chemo, should I do the fasting mimicking diet? And the answer is no. Yeah, your body at that time is too weak. And so I would say no. I usually recommend it if you're in remission or if there's a big gap between the chemos, and then usually consult with the oncologist, say, we're going to do this. Because every chemo is going to put a huge toll on the body, and I don't want that kind of toll on the body. Yeah. Yes.
Is how to measure inflammatory so I'm really interested in. Is that something we can come to you? And
Yeah. Good question. So CRP is a good one. Oh yeah, the question is how do we check inflammatory markers? CRP is a good one, and ESR, those are really good markers. And then to me, it's the whole story. Is insulin inflamed? Is it high? Is cortisol? That's another one. That's your stress hormone. So those are ones that we check for our labs for every patient. Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because again, I don't like one shoe fits all. It's a whole story of what does your body need to do well. Yeah. Visceral fat would be a test. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question about sleep.
Yes.
Does it have to be continuous? For example, can you sleep 6 hours at night and 2 hours in the afternoon?
Yeah. So the studies are all showing it should be more continuous to get the full benefit. But again, 5 hours is where individuals started eating more, right? So I always say it's hard to sleep 7, 6 at least past that bad point of the 5 hours, right? 5 hours is where your insulin is not regulated, but at least we're pushing better in a better zone. But 7 is the recommendation, what they did on. Yeah. Yes.
That's the American version. Let's go back to the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
You know that all the Mediterranean countries do have a siesta.
Yes, for 2 hours.
But it's also for resting.
Yes.
So the 2 hours the gentleman addresses, it's exactly that break.
So that's a break for the whole body. Yes, 100%. But we're talking about the nighttime. So the nighttime, they did the studies on 7. They haven't done it on that break, to be honest with you. But that 2-hour break does help because it helps the body digest. It helps the insulin do what it's supposed to do. So it does help with the reset. But if you're looking at the benefits at night, they looked at 7 hours. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Anytime enzymes.
Okay. What about them?
I had a crash of enzymes which caused the heart attack, full-blown heart attack. I didn't have a clue. I was in the hospital, it happened. They got the test and suddenly the whole hospital was operation, she had a heart. So yesterday, scrolling through the telephone, because now I'm so curious about everything. There was a presentation about the MMP enzyme.
Okay.
Can you explain? It's an enzyme which obviously provokes a lot, kills a lot, or maintains a lot. So can you?
So it goes back to all these.
Summarize the question.
So she's asking about different types of enzymes. Enzymes, the way I would look at it as it goes back to the books, the chapters, right, and the protein. So we've got those 3. So when your body has that chapter that tells the worker, go do this, the worker many times, the protein, will need enzymes to get that done. Okay, so that's kind of the idea behind, hey, I'm going to need that enzyme because we're going to go do this. We're going to do this. So that's kind of the worker. Sometimes, so that's the example of some of the enzymes will get turned on too much. And that goes back to this. Let's go back to this. Just bear with me. Maybe it might be easier if I do this. Okay, so right here. Okay, so do you see how like right here, this is the accelerator, it got stuck. So sometimes that could be the problem. Enzymes is a huge topic, but your body uses enzymes to help facilitate the movement of what the workers need to do, okay? Enzymes are not measured. Like that's not something I do in my clinic. You don't measure them. You just know the process, the physiology of it, what is turning on. So like insulin growth factor, we know that that is going to keep causing, it's going to keep driving that enzymes, all those workers, it's going to keep doing that. So yes, they're all linked, but it's not something that we're really checking. I don't even think we're able to check it. Yeah, we don't have anything to be able to check them. But you know the pathophysiology, right? Yes.
Exercise.
Yes.
Matter if your heart rate up or does it matter?
Yeah, so they want you to, yes, the question is 150 minutes. Doesn't matter how you push your heart rate. So the best heart rate that helps with really mitochondria health, meaning your cells, the energy of your cells. So going back to enzymes, because ATP, all of that is going to produce the best energy for you, is what you call zone 2. Okay, zone 2. So if you have a smart watch, you could, as you're working or taking, show up for you what your zone 2. And Brian, when he sees patients, he does, he'll do something called a VO2 max on them. And that tells us how your heart and lungs are operating. And it'll tell him what your zone is, meaning what is the best heart rate for you to hit that, to be able to get that best cell health. Does that make sense? Anybody else? I love all these questions.
So online, is acupuncture beneficial?
Yes, so is acupuncture beneficial? Yes, and no. So yes, I think again, those are all adjunct things. I can't, I'm a fan of acupuncture, to be honest with you. I think that there's a lot of benefit, especially with chronic pain. People tend to really feel the benefit of it. But it won't hurt, but I don't know how much of it is going to reduce your all-cause mortality. So to me, going back to what we talked about, if you're going to do the lymphatic and do that, those are all great things. Add those on, but make sure you're doing the basics, right? Because those are just going to augment what you're doing versus not doing the basics and then hoping that acupuncture is 100% going to help. Yes.
For example, lymphatic and the acupuncture create more comfort for you, but it doesn't, but comfort's important.
Comfort's important because what is comfort going to do? You're going to be able to go take that walk. You're going to be able to go strength train. So to me, if someone comes to me and says, Dr. A, I'm doing this, I'm like, great. I'm not going to take that away from you, but let's make sure we're doing these basic things that I know will help and then continue doing those, right? Like I love yoga. I do yoga, right? And I know yoga is really good. All the studies show for mobility, right? But I know that strength training is what's going to help me with longevity. So I'm going to force myself to go lift heavy stuff, right? Because I know that for longevity, that's going to help me. And yoga is going to help me with balance and with falling when I'm older. But the longevity is the muscle. Yeah. Yes.
Exactly to purchase. The whole time in the South Bay, the beach properties are going yoga,
Yeah.
yoga, outdoor beach yoga. I moved to Gardena, which is a very Asian predominant community.
Mhm.
In every single block of Western, you have at least 2, if not 3 or 4 acupuncture outlets.
Yeah.
They are Korean, Chinese, Taiwanese, you name it.
Because it's Chinese medicine.
And
Yeah. Which is
exactly,
good. Yeah.
That some cultures take an acupuncture session like we think we treat ourselves for a massage. We don't do it every month. We don't do it unless we get a voucher of coupon or somebody spends the money on us. But those people, I walked in into because I got so irritated. They are
Yeah.
just, and they don't take insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact is that the reality is that clients pay cash for the session. And the fact that there are so many to choose from means there is a clientele out there would steadily chooses acupuncture for their well-being, and that's a cultural.
Yeah, absolutely.
Summarize very quickly.
Oh, that's a long summary. Cultural. Okay, so basically stating that it's a cultural base that some people really do enjoy acupuncture, and depending on where you are, South Bay is all about yoga. But then if you go to Gardena, Gardena has a lot of people that do acupuncture. So my biggest thing is if something makes you happy and it will help you get to what you need to do, like taking that walk, 100% proponent of that, right? So it won't hurt. It won't hurt, right? Unless you're drinking alcohol every day, I'm gonna say no, that's not a good idea, right? With a cigarette in your hand, I'm gonna say no, right? But I do believe that there are parts of Chinese medicine that are fantastic and Western medicine. I think there has to be a bridge between the two, and I think there's just black and white, and that shouldn't happen. Yeah.
I think there was one more hand and
Yes.
one online.
Yes. Yeah. So what is my opinion on infrared red therapy? I actually really do like it. Infrared, to everybody, red therapy is supposed to reduce inflammation. Some people do it to look beautiful, and some other people will do the whole body infrared. I think it is a good concept, but again, my biggest question is going to be what? Does it reduce all-cause mortality, right? And so that is my biggest thing. It could be an adjunct to what you're doing because it's reducing, and we've seen what inflammation does to the cells. So it could be definitely an adjunct. But if you come to me and you say, Dr. A, I'm doing my red therapy, but I'm not walking and I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, to me, that's not enough. It does. And so they haven't tested it on everything. That's the thing. They are doing it now. I know that they do it on the face. They also do it on certain body parts, especially like if you have inflammation of, let's say, like the knee from like arthritis, it is reducing it. I can't comment purely because I really have not been tracking the studies, to be honest with you. So I haven't seen anything that's stuck out and told me, oh my God, that's going to save the world. But they are doing a lot of work around there and a lot of clinical trials. Yeah. So it may be in a year, we might get more studies on that. Yeah.
So, last question online. I think your QR code, if you want to go back to it, but the question is, are you accepting new patients?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And was the QR code that's linked to your website, or what was that?
I think it's, can someone check? I think it's the website, right?
Do you have a contact information? Or do you want to maybe?
Oh yeah, I have it. We'll get to it.
We'll add the website link in the chat for the.
Oh, here we go. And please email me. You emailed me. I loved it. I want to hear from you guys. If you have any more questions, I love. What? What'd you say?
Needing to get back.
Yeah.
It's a starting point, and I just.
Have you been doing some of the stuff I mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay, love it. Love it.
So do you take it?
No, so we don't take insurance because a lot of what we do, insurance doesn't pay for it with the biometric stuff, unfortunately.
You have a-
But we do take HSA and FSA.
It's-
The health, we do take that. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Butcher. You don't want
Yeah.
to say hi to the camera?
Hi.
Just so we can see you. And thank you everyone for joining us, both in person and online, and Dr. Aboutalib and their team for being here with us today.
Thank you.